You're welcome.
Welcome to the January 31st meeting of the Rotary Club of Raleigh. Can't believe that we're already a month into 2022. I'd like to welcome everybody to the meeting, and if Richard is on the line, we will start with the invocation and then followed by the pledge.
Yes, I am here. President Edwards, can everyone there, can they hear me loud and clear?
Yeah.
Good. Well, I am so grateful, like I say, every single Rotary Club meeting to be in your presence. People who know me know that I have this saying when people approach me and they say, how am I doing? I always say, every day on this side of the soil is a good day. The present is a present. The present is a gift. Every day is a holiday, and everywhere I go feels like paradise. And I feel that is especially true today. And I think that's the real point of it all, right? The present is a present, and we have to make the most of every single moment and do good onto other people, which is the spirit of Rotary. It's the mission of Rotary. And I'm so very blessed to be able to spend these Mondays with each and every one of you. When I came into this role in Rotary, it was during turbulent times. We had just started to meet virtually in the midst of a pandemic. And one of our first guests was a young woman named Chesley Christ. I was absolutely starstruck by having so many amazing speakers, and that was at the top of the list. And just this past weekend, we lost Chesley Christ too soon. And I know there are people on this call who knew her much better than myself. I just felt as if I knew this person. And it really made me realize that we don't know when our last day is. We have to give thanks every time we get out of the bed, which may be a good reason to put your slippers underneath your bed, as the actor Denzel Washington says, put your slippers underneath your bed so when you get up in the morning and you start to move around your house, in order to get those slippers before you take your first step, you must fall to your knees. And while you're down there, give thanks for another day. I am grateful for this day. I am grateful that the time that I am able to spend with each and every one of you, and the only thing that I ask is for the strength to do better with what I have to make folks' lives better. And I want to just take this moment to tell each and every one of you that I love you and thank you all so much for being in my life. And with that, I do want to take just a brief moment of silence to recognize the life of Chesley Christ. Please join me. Thank you. And if you would please join me for our nation's Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all so much. President Edwards, before I pass it back to you, I wanted to know if, Eric, I know you had a close relationship. Did you want to share some words or some remarks?
Sure. So Chesley
was a Wake Forest law graduate who came to work in the Charlotte office of our law firm a few years ago. And I had the good fortune to work with her on a few different matters. And she was the most positive, kind, friendly person you could possibly imagine. And, you know, we all rooted for her. She had always been involved in pageants, and we all rooted for her. And we're so excited at her success when she became Miss North Carolina and then Miss USA. And after she was with Miss USA, she worked at ET as a announcer, but she also continued to be involved with our law firm and was involved in leading diversity and equity and inclusion kind of efforts at our firm. And we would get periodic emails from her, and she would periodically lead discussions. And it's just devastating to know that her life has been cut short. And like Richard said, it's just a reminder that you never know, no matter how wonderful today is, what tomorrow will bring. And so we have to really, you know, focus on appreciating the moment. But we'll miss her greatly. She was a really, really lovely person, and I just can't believe that she's gone. Thanks.
Thank you, Eric. President Edwards, back to you.
Thanks. Okay, Linda, if you can introduce our guests, please.
Today I have Patrick Torres and from Raleigh Little Theatre. Patrick is here to present the station. We'll hear more about him in a little bit.
Thank you. And then anyone else would like to introduce your guest, David, please?
And I've got Mark Scarborough
With me.
He's actually one of the founding members of the Wakefield Club. Is not active in Rotary. We all be on your best. He's with Matthew. Richard, do you have a guess?
Yes, I'd like to welcome Cliff Isaacs with Wizards Ravenel. He's looking for a Rotary Club. His uncle is a Rotary Club in South Carolina.
Well, he's found the Rotary. I used to work with Cliff. He's already found the Rotary.
We have Dr. Susan on Zoom.
And Dr. Susan.
Yes,
Hi, hello.
Yes, we connected over LinkedIn, and she's very interested in coming and visiting our club. She can make it in person today, so just like saying letter.
Thank you.
Welcome, Susan.
Okay, anybody else? Okay. Cart buckets, please. If you've got any loose change or small bills or big bills, whatever, please fill the blue buckets on your tables. Charlie, happy dollars. Happy dollars. There's got to be at least 2 groups that enjoyed what happened in football yesterday.
That's right, Los Angeles Rams and the Cincinnati.
Or basketball, I understand there's been a few games on.
I have some happy dollars because my husband is from Ohio. He's waited 31 years for the Bengals.
Happy for the Bengals. Kirk?
I'm from just north Cincinnati, Bengals fan, and we waited 34 years. So
Wow. Anybody else?
Anybody else?
All
right, thanks, Charlie. Upcoming meetings, we're going to have a great presentation, I know, today, but next week will be the Attorney General, Josh Stein, will be with us. The following week, looks like it's Justice Week, we'll have the new Raleigh Police Chief, Estella Patterson will be with us. The 21st is President's Day, so we will not be meeting. And then we will round out the month with Daniela Cara, I think I pronounced that correctly, who is with the Bridge International. So please come and enjoy these presentations. Just a little bit about club and district news. The next district assembly is on the 19th of February. It'll be at Greenwood Baptist Church in Cary. It's about an hour, hour and a half. I believe it's going to be both online and in person. If you get the chance, attend it. I'll be there. I know Tom's going to be there. Carrie, I think, is also going to be there. Patty, you're going to be there. But it's a great way to learn more about what's going on in the district, and also just to meet fellow Rotarians from all over the district. Also, just a reminder, the district conference will be May 13th through the 14th in Winston-Salem. If you've never been to one of those, you're missing out a lot. They're going to be doing something for the leaving presidents. I believe it's shooting us. So you may want to come and watch that. I may decline to go just because of that. Just a little bit about club news, and then we're going to get to a presentation by James LaMancha. On Thursday, we collected a lot of snacks for kids. Thanks to Harrison and Paul organizing our social service up at Compass Brewery, which was halfway to someplace in Virginia. All the way up. Kidding aside, I was able to deliver the snacks to President Alley of the Parkside Rotary, which now has a whopping 8 members and will soon disappear, unfortunately, off the rolls, it looks like. She was very, very grateful. No one had raised or collected as many snacks and juice boxes as they've never done it as much. So just to let you know, I'm probably going to propose to the board at our next meeting that we do this on a monthly basis. The demand, they only support 4 schools. Demand is going through the roof. These are kids that have nothing to eat from 10:30 in the morning until 6, 7 o'clock at night. And so any snacks, anything that can be provided, they're, of course, very grateful. Right now, the teachers are taking money out of their own pockets, not that they're paid a lot, and they're buying the snacks for the kids. So just think about that. James, if you're on.
I am on. Can you hear me?
Yep, can. Go for it.
All right, awesome. I think the presentation is to discuss an upcoming fundraiser. I don't know if the executive board has decided on the final date yet, but there's going to be a fundraiser, a whiskey tasting, perhaps wine tasting. If it was my way, it would be all of the above tasting in the gallery. And it's going to be a fundraiser with the beneficiary being Gift of Life International. For all of those who do not know what Gift of Life International is, it's the #1 charity in the world helping children with congenital heart disease from emerging countries. So I'm the vice president of that #1 charity in the world. It was founded out of Rotary 47 years ago, and we've helped over 45,000 kids at this point. We're in the middle of a 6-month challenge, which we called the 1820 challenge, which was basically half of the amount of kids we helped in a year prior to COVID. We were over 3,600 children we were helping a year. So we're finishing that up. And as of yesterday, we're at 1,679 children saved between September and we have another few weeks to go in countries like El Salvador, Romania, Jamaica, Uganda, Kosovo, Nigeria, Sri Lanka. It runs the gamut. These are all countries that if you're a child born with congenital heart disease in one of these countries, you most likely will not live past 15 or 16 years of age. So when the club approached me to do a fundraiser with Gift of Life being the beneficiary, it was absolutely, I'm thrilled about it. We're actually, looks like we're going to be getting a North Carolina program started. I'm working with some clubs down in Charlotte. So between Charlotte, Raleigh, it looks like we'll have a program. There's never been a program in North Carolina for Gift of Life. Ironically, when Duke surgeons have gone on missions for us. So I'm very excited about this. And maybe Elsa knows the exact date, or Gina, I'm not sure if we finalized it, but whenever it is, the gallery is going to be a party, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Great, thank you, James. We have not fixed a date. We'll probably be in April, if I'm not mistaken, more towards the end, but there'll be more news about that. Richard.
Yes.
Wake up and read.
Yes, sir.
So here's an example of a new member, not only bringing a perspective, almost as signed new member, thank you, Cliff, but is also leading a significant service project that we do on an annual basis. So please come up.
Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. Once again, our club is partnering with Wake Up and Read. For you new members, Wake Up and Read is a coalition of 30 community organizations who have come together for one goal: to improve childhood literacy. For those of you who don't know, Wake County currently has only a 66% threshold of children achieving 3rd grade literacy. That's a stunning statistic for such a metropolitan community. And Wake Up and Read is band together and asking community partners just like ourselves to help with their annual book drive. This is their 9th annual book drive. They're asking to collect books, new and gently used children's books. Our goal is set a club a goal of 500 books. Now, in last week's meeting, Charles called this a stretch goal, which got me good and fired up. So thanks to the generosity of this club so far through our social last Thursday and through Amazon, we have collected 94 books so far. So that goal is now going to be 1,000 books. And we've got 28 days to do it. And since we're at 94, I think we're at a pretty good clip. So again, I appreciate your participation in this. You can call me anytime, email me. I'll come to your house, your place of business. And if you want to send an Amazon package like so many of you have already done, please do. And one footnote, for the folks who have sent Amazon packages, there's no name, I don't know. I would like to recognize you in some capacity. So if you send me a message or maybe in the chat for those who sent, just your name doesn't mean how many books or whatever. But I appreciate all your support in this. We're going to do some good damage in the community with this. Yes, sir.
Richard, if we rather just get cash, can we do that, or does that just become a extra work for you?
Whatever you want to do. I'll be more than happy to take the initiative and take care of that.
Okay.
Like just some things I've done personally. I've sent out to next door in our community to drop off books in my house. I've sent it to my PTO or my kids' school. There's a lot of different ways to collect gently and use books. And a lot of folks, quite frankly, once their kids are grown, that's one less thing they want to do. So, but again, this is a great initiative. They're doing it for 9 years now. And it's important. You know, literacy on a granular level is economic development. And if we want to stay in this most desirable place to live, it all starts with literacy. So let's work together and raise that number and support it. Yes, sir.
Question on the screen, what address if we want to order from Amazon?
Yes, who's
You want to come over here and type it?
Sure, yeah, that'd be great. All right, thank you again, folks.
I can also email everybody with the address that Richard would like.
Okay.
I'm happy to do that.
1,000 books. That's more than a stretch goal. But let's do it. Harrison, would you like to come up and do the membership and then introduce our speaker? Oh.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming out here today. Hello to everyone on Zoom and to our guests. Welcome. I hope that you find this to be a welcoming home for you, especially if you're trying to see, as I think you've seen today, an organization is trying its best to make an impact in our community. It's something that we don't take lightly, and in our motto, service above self, it's something I'm proud that our members are living out on a daily basis. Just a quick update, as you've already heard, we had a phenomenal, we had a lot of people come out to our service and social this past Thursday. It was at Compass Rose. It's not as far out of the way as Charles is saying. He just doesn't like to drive. It was a fun time. We had a lot of people bring donations and things like that. I think it was a great turnout. So if you have not been to one of our service socials, take an opportunity to come out, share your why with somebody. Why are you Rotarian? Bring prospective members. It's a great opportunity to meet and fellowship with Rotarians you might not know anything about. So it was a great event. If you have any prospective members, please email me. My email address is up there on the screen. I would love to connect. And for those that are here that are new, you will be hearing from me soon. And then finally, I guess I will move on to introducing our speaker, because that's the update I have for membership.
Take me a second to get down there.
That's fine. So let me raise hands. Who in here is familiar with Raleigh Little Theatre? That's good. That's great. I asked that questions because my wife and I, we've been here since 2010. And when I found out about Raleigh Little Theatre, it was several years after being in Raleigh. And it's just, if you've ever been there, you know what I'm talking about. It's a quaint little spot that's kind of cornered in Raleigh that seems like a lot of people I talk to don't know much about. But really, it's history in our community. What it does for with theater as well as the community in general is phenomenal work. So I am truly honored to be able to have them come and speak to our Rotary group today to kind of tell what they're doing and things like that. So today we have Patrick Torres who will be speaking. Patrick is Raleigh Little Theatre's artistic director and has more than a decade of experience as a professional director and theater educator. He works as a freelance director, has been seen at the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, the Southwest Shakespeare Festival, Roundhouse Theater, the Source Festival, and the Hanger Theater, among others. In 2003, he was selected as a Drama League Directing Fellow, and in 2005 was named a Young Leader of Color by the Theater Communications Group. He has an MFA in directing from the University of Southern Mississippi, and I will say that it has been an honor getting to know Patrick over the past few years, and also just seeing his determination, dedication to Raleigh Little Theatre, especially during a pandemic, which completely closed down what they were able to do in the community. They thought of creative and new ways, just like we have as Rotarians, of how do we continue to engage with our members, with our community, and keep things moving forward. So yes, Patrick, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Harrison, and thank you for having us here today. I really appreciate it. Harrison really came into our lives at the theater right when the pandemic was starting, and I give Harrison a lot of credit for really helping us still be here today. So thank you, Harrison. You know, I always love to come talk with Rotary clubs. Your mission as Rotarians really does match well with the arts, particularly theater, and I want to talk a little bit about how that's true today, and as we go through some of the history of RLT. So I know so many of you have been to Raleigh Little Theatre, and that's exciting. And today I want to talk you through a little bit of the history, and then what we're up to now, and maybe how our paths can cross in ways that we haven't thought of before. So we'll start with our first little video about the history of the theater.
Your work can feel much smoother with Monday.com WorkOS.
There is a special place in our capital city where people can not only be entertained, but can entertain if they so wish. It's a place that has been making people laugh and cry since 1936. It has seen many memories and lifelong friendships made over the years, and it just happens to sit right beside a beautiful rose garden. I'm talking about Raleigh Little Theatre. Raleigh Little Theatre is one of the longest-running community theaters in the United States. It was the very first community theater in the Southeast to cast actors of color during segregation in a 1936 production of Quicksand, only the company's second production ever. RLT currently produces 10 to 11 plays, musicals, and children's theater shows each year, as well as other events like movies and concerts in the amphitheater. In addition to the constant productions being rehearsed and sets and costumes being built on site, RLT also offers classes and summer camps for young people. There are 2 indoor theaters and 1 outdoor, as well as a rehearsal space, dressing rooms, a costume shop, and a scenic construction shop on site. The whole operation is run by a full-time and part-time staff of around 16 at full production capacity, along with some 600 volunteers. Annually, Raleigh Little Theatre entertains more than 40,000 people. I sat down with Executive Director Heather Strickland to ask a very basic question. Why does a community need theater?
My partner, our artistic director, Patrick Torres, puts it best when he says anyone gets to come live their best creative life here, right? So that could mean you come get to build or paint a set. That could mean you come get to help sew a costume. That could mean that you get to be on stage, you know? And it's not that you necessarily have to have training or expertise in any of those areas. You just get to come here and see what it's like to do that. And, you know, not only is it then understanding what it means to be a part of creating the art, but then we all know, all of those of us that have been involved in theater in any way, we know that we build friendships and families around the process of creating theater. So, you know, not only do you get to come and try out this new skill set or understand this art form a little bit better, but then you get to build community. And, you know, I've seen that change lives for teenagers that might have been struggling to be a part of that kind of community. I've seen adults completely change the life that they're living after they experience that sort of community. So I know firsthand, I'm sure it's done it for me in many ways, that is possible. So when I think about what does it mean to be in service, it's providing that for anyone that wants to be a part of that.
Some famous names have been among those in the Raleigh Little Theatre family over the years, including the Academy Award-nominated film legend Ava Gardner, TV star and beloved North Carolina son Andy Griffith, Malcolm in the Middle and Agent Cody Banks star Frankie Muniz, perhaps the most famous American Idol runner-up Clay Aiken, and the chilling adventures of Sabrina's Lachlan Watson. And while you could go from a little theater stage to the little or big screen, that's not the main focus of the RLT team.
Yes, we are an organization that creates and teaches theater, but let's take that a step further, because we create and teach theater in service to our community, in order to change our community, in order to benefit our community. Community theater has started to evolve to a point where it tries to keep up with regional theater, because that's how we make money, with ticket sales and selling class registrations. Well, maybe we should question that model a little bit. Maybe we should pull it back in the other direction and not put that sort of pressure on the earned income side of community theater, and really think about, well, how do we sort of think about a very different funding model that is truly in service to a community, and is accessible and is inclusive and is equitable in all the ways that theater can be.
All right. Yeah, so to pick up a little bit about where we're leaving off in the video and what Heather is saying, is that we believe theater has a power beyond only entertainment. The theater was founded in 1936 on the campus where we are today. Before the campus was there, it was the second site of the fairgrounds. And also during World War II, it was a site where they tested tanks. Because if you've been over there, it's very bowl shaped, so they would drive tanks through to make sure that they were operating correctly and things like that. And then we come to the Federal Theater Project. Coming out of the Great Depression, the Federal Theater Project was a movement across the country to install theaters in local communities so that people in those communities could live a creative life together. There was a value seen in people practicing the arts as a community in order to impact other folks in the community. And that's kind of the heart of how RLT was born. People like Canty Sutton, who really paved the way for that theater to continue to be in operation 86 years later. So how does a theater stay in operation that long? How are we now, coming out of a pandemic, able to still be here, to still be relevant, to still be an influential factor in our community? And I think that's kind of where we, as artists and you as Rotarians, intersect in our missions. Because the mission is about service. The mission is about influence. The mission is about how we make a difference to the communities we practice in. I'd like you to take a look around the room for a second. Maybe find somebody in the room that you haven't seen in a while. Mentally take note of them and their names, and remind yourself to go say hi after the meeting's over. So just take a second, look around, greet each other. All right, everybody got it? Got somebody in mind? Good. Think about, you're doing it, I love it. Everybody in here has a name, right? When you look across the room and you see someone you know, and you know their name, you think about their name. But is that what a person is in their entirety? Are they their name? Their name is a signifier of who they are. It's what you recognize when you look at them, but they are not in totality, they're not their name. So who is a person? That person you looked at has a body, right? A body that carries them through this life, through this world, makes them move around, allows them to function. We all have different bodies. We're all unique. Is that person whose name you know, are they their body in total? No. Okay, so then we move it a step further. No matter what your spiritual orientation is, I think when we look at people, we assume that there's something greater around them. They have thought, they have consciousness, probably a sense of morality, ethics. They have that internal voice that tells them they're a success or they need to work harder, or any of that stuff that governs us as individuals and who we are. Some might call that a soul or a spirit. Are you just your spirit? That's insufficient as well. The truth is, you're all of those things. You're a name that was given, or a name that you chose. You're a spirit, you have a soul, you have thought. Outside of yourself, you think about others, there's this consciousness. You are a body, you're all of those things. So how do we describe who a person actually is? I believe there's a pretty interesting way to say who people are. And it is that you and each one of us is a story. You're a story. That story started the moment you were born and continues up until this moment. And hopefully there's a lot left to be written in your story. You're a story, and you're in the middle of the story now. Now, why that's important is because theater believes that stories have the power to change us, to influence us. That's why we do what we do. Plays are nothing but character in conflict, people in conflict. And the reason that we believe in spending all of these hours, all of this time being on stage and producing plays is not only because we want to be famous, like the folks that were mentioned. There's usually a deeper meaning when you talk to actors and you talk to artists, the practitioners. And that deeper meaning is we believe that by telling these stories, we can affect positive change. It's a little bit different than the way you all do it, but I hope that what we do can inspire people to want to participate in the way that you participate. Let me talk a little bit about that. Stories matter. Everybody's stories matter. When what we do at Raleigh Little Theatre is we choose to present plays and put stories on stage that we hope are relevant to the people who are coming to see it, that ask big questions about what it means to be human and who we are. See, what we hope is that everybody who comes to the theater gets to meet characters they've never met before. When they do that, when we see those characters in conflict, a lot of things can happen. We can change our minds about a social issue that's being presented to us, or it can affirm our convictions about justice, things like that. We can meet characters we've never known before, and that helps build empathy. And empathy is a thing that will carry us outside of the theater and into our communities, right? We hope to inspire people to start to include as a part of their story, a care and a service for other people. In the same way that the Rotary mission is to work in fellowship, to find service opportunities in communities, we hope that what we're doing through the entertainment venue is inspiring people to seek out opportunities like the ones you offer, right? That's how we work together. That's how all of us working in community in that way can tell a new story, right? We can influence the way people act. Probably this is the best way to say it. I probably should have just started here. I have a pastor who I respect very much who says it this way: prejudice cannot survive proximity. Prejudice cannot survive proximity. I mean, when you start to really think about that, you start to understand how critical stories are, right? Once I know you, once I'm in relationship with you, once I've heard your story, it is very difficult for me to push you away, for me to write you off. In fact, if you think about it, when we do the opposite, that's when we cause damage. Lust is about separating someone from their story. They just become an object, right? Racism is about separating someone from their story. They become an economic mode, maybe. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, their story matters. Once you connect to a story, it's very hard to push people away. So we believe theater has the power to do that, to introduce stories, to connect people together, to change the way we think about the world around us. And then, in the best of all possible scenarios, those folks go out and they try to act on the stories they just heard. They try to act on the fact that now they've met somebody that they thought that they didn't know, that they had nothing in common with, because they've seen this play happen on stage. It's human. It's really about human nature. That's what plays are about. Think about the amazing projects that we've already heard about that you all are up to today, right? You probably decided, if you really sat down and think about it, decided where to spend your time, where to spend your money, how to donate, who to help, because of their story. You know, when I was working in Texas, I was working in the juvenile detention system. I was doing theater with incarcerated youth, giving them a chance to tell their story and to remind them that they do have agency. So much of those, when I was working with those students, they believed that they had no power to change their circumstances. And I was there through the art of theater to say, you do have agency. As a person with a story, you can change the story. One of the things that I was meeting with the folks who ran that program, who worked for the Department of Justice in Texas, they said this. I was thinking about your Wake Up and Read initiative. In Texas, they predict the number of prison beds they're going to need by looking at the number of students who can't read in 3rd grade. Okay? When you hear that story, I hope it motivates you to send books. I mean, how can you forget that, right? When you hear, you know, there's so many opportunities we have to things like offering food. And sometimes it can feel like a lot of noise. There's like so much need in our world. But just the one sentence about sometimes these kids don't eat 10:30 to 6:30. How can that not inspire action, right? And so these are the ways that I really believe that we, as Raleigh Little Theater, provide a service. Yes, it's entertainment. Yes, we honor the fact that it's entertainment. Sometimes bringing you to the theater and making you laugh is the most human thing we can do, right? But we often tell stories aimed at introducing you to characters and worlds and ideas that maybe challenge you a little bit or affirm some of the beliefs you have to make them stronger. There's so much power in storytelling. When we tell each other our stories, we enter into a relationship. And when we enter into a relationship, we're bound to one another, to help one another, to challenge one another, to be a community, right? That is the power of theater, and it's the power of groups like yours with this Rotary Club. When we intersect, when our stories come together, what happens? there's a relationship formed and a new story starts, right? It's the eternal power of story. There's so many ways that you can help. I kind of went off, I wasn't supposed to be here today, so I kind of went off what Heather was going to say. I think she'd be okay with it. This is our mission statement. I want to go down a few more slides. Like you said in the video, 9 to 10 shows a year. Keep going. Some photos for you. Again. You met our people already. You watched all this. Okay, this is what I want to do. So get involved. I want you to think about getting involved. Now, in theater, there's an easy way to get involved, and that's to come, to be part of the audience. Those stories and that relationship can't start without people being present in the room. And that's the thing I love about theater the most, is like, it's not a movie, it's not a television show. We have to be in the room together. And I think that that is so human. And I just have to say personally, being able to come speak with you all today and just, have lunch with folks after 20 months of the theater being shut down, basically, it's a real pleasure. It's a real pleasure to be here. But come see a show. You can be a subscriber. Of course, we take donations. You can volunteer if you have time to give. That is every bit as valuable as money for us, because that's how we exist. That's what we do, is we build it together as a community. And even in those moments when we're making costumes and sets together, we're learning about each other and we're building relationships. And I believe relationships are what change the world. So I invite you to Raleigh Little Theatre. I invite you to come, even as just an audience member, and experience some of the work we're up to. I think you'll enjoy it. Your story matters to us, and all stories matters to us. And I thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate it. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions. I was about to say that. Yes.
I've got a daughter that's very interested in theater. She's 14, so she's not exactly a child. She's not exactly an adult. One of my biggest struggles is finding material that's appropriate to take her to. And I've been on both sides of the appropriate line. Is there anywhere in the theater world that can kind of prescribe some age-appropriate shows, where they can talk about shows that you guys are doing?
Absolutely.
What ages that you appropriate?
Yeah, thank you for asking that question. It's a great one. So we have programming for all ages at Raleigh Little Theatre that not only includes production, it also includes education classes. So we have classes in theater for ages 2 through adulthood. So anybody can come take a class. We'd love to have that. We also offer a family series of programming every year. So one of the slides I skipped past. If you see Heather, don't tell her I did that. We offer, we do 10 shows a year, about 10. So it's almost a show every month that we open. And one of the things that we're most proud of is our family series. And those are often shows that are adapted from children's books. So it's a great literacy connection too. And that's part of our mission. We offer a literacy program where we go into schools and try to make reading fun. The next show that we have coming up is Junie B. Jones is Not a Crook, based on the Junie B. Jones stories. I'll give you my card before I go. And yeah, so that's perfect for the 14-year-old age range. And then we have a teen summer program that is teen appropriate programming as well. Thank you for that question. Any other questions? Yeah.
When I was growing up in Raleigh, I used to have a lot of concerts, small concerts out in the outdoor venue. Don't do that much anymore, or do you?
We do. I think for us, pandemic time has changed everything. So the theater's using it a lot more than we have been because people feel so much more safe out there. And so it's not too many years ago, we did like Group in the Garden, the Cannells come out there like every other year. We also do, we've done our own concerts with Raleigh Symphony Orchestra. So it's happening more and more. Of course, the last 2 years have been wonky. But yeah, we still use that venue for multi-purpose. Anybody else?
Any other questions? One more. All right. Patrick,
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Good schedule, and having worked in the theater back in Canada, I know what it's like. You need that.
Yes, I do.
Thank you. However you want to fill it, it's up to you. Thank you very much. As Patrick pointed out, there are many parts of the community, and the arts definitely are one. We're blessed in the triangle of having a very vibrant arts community, whether it's Raleigh Little Theatre, the symphony, which is also one of the oldest state-supported symphonies in the United States, American Dance Festival, et cetera. I mean, we've got it, and that probably means more people are moving here, so. Okay, there go the roads. There's always a downside, but there's a lot of upside. Thank you to the guests, Mark, Cliff, soon to become a member, Cliff. No pressure. You're gonna rue the day you came, I know. Dr. Susan, if you're still online, from Rocky Mount, who's moved here to Raleigh, we welcome you. Patrick, Thea, thank you very much for coming and sharing the story.
We also have Philip on, who's a member, he's on Zoom, and I missed him at the beginning, but he's a member of the Rotary Club of Rocky Mount, who is now in Raleigh and looking for a club.
He's home, right? Is there a question? Thank you, Philip. Hope to meet you in person one of these days, hopefully soon. Wake up and read, 94 down and 900 and yes to go, right? But there's the challenge, and as Patrick mentioned, it's literacy. I mean, Texas really uses third grade reading as a basis for, well, I can remember at DOT, we presumed that the average reading level in the state of North Carolina was at a grade 4. I think they bumped it up to grade 5 recently. Just think about that. So anything we can do to erase illiteracy, anything that we can do to erase hunger, that's what we need to be doing in our community. And also don't forget the district assembly, which will be on the 19th in Cary. With that, would you please rise and join me in the 4-way test? First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it benefit friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? We are adjourned. Thank you.